3, 2, 1, and we are live, guys.
Hey, what's up, guys? Frank Forza here with my friends Noah Green and Jordan Worth. Another Everyman BJJ podcast episode. Good, happy Sunday, guys. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
How are Labor Day. Labor Day weekend.
Sorry, Labor Day.
Labor Day weekend.
This year's been such a blur. I can't get the holiday straight.
Speaking of blur, I'm putting on my other glasses that I can see, so I can see you clearly. I just got new spectacles, so
you look good. You look highly intelligent, Noah.
Like, just dangerous. Like dangerous behind the keyboard.
A financial wizard. So I didn't get a chance to tell you guys though. I had yesterday I went to Trader Joe's, right? Normally Whole Foods is really my spot. There's a lot of food at Whole Foods I won't buy. So even though I'm Mr. Health Conscious, there's a lot of stuff there that I won't buy that I don't like. But a lot of the organic and high quality products that I like, Whole Foods probably has the biggest selection in most markets. After that might be like a Sprouts or maybe like a Great Farmers Market, and then Trader Joe's. So sort of that hierarchy. So anyway, we don't have a Whole Foods here where I am in Utah. Whole Foods be like 40 miles away. So I went to Trader Joe's and bought some stuff there because some stuff is cheaper there. And then Sprouts has a bigger offering, and like the produce and the fruits and vegetables are cheaper at Sprouts. So usually I'll hit Trader Joe's, get the deals there, and then head over to Sprouts. So there's a guy there that is he like stocks the shelves at Sprouts. He's like 6'6", so he looks like Michael, like a Michael Phelps. He's kind of built like a Michael Phelps or even a Robert Drysdale, but bigger, right? Big in the shoulders, big in the lungs. And he told me he's been taking up swimming. And I'm like, this guy is perfectly suited. His body, to my eye, is perfectly suited to be a swimmer. 6'6", 230, 240, 240 pounds. So anyway, his nose is a little bit off. You guys, we do this all the time, right? You're walking around somewhere, and when you've been doing this sport a long time, you automatically can notice some people move like a wrestler, or they move like a fighter, or they move like a jiu-jitsu player, or they have a shirt on, or their nose is crooked, or, they've got some scarage, or they've obviously the most blatant, obvious one being cauliflower. So this guy, his nose, I can instantly see, his nose has been corrected or broken. I've had my nose broken. And then I could also see he has more cauliflower than I do, right? And I mean, that's the big problem for me, is that when people first meet me, they're like, I sound the part, right? If you talk to me, I might seem like I'm an encyclopedia of this stuff, and I've been deeply involved in it, but I don't look the part. So there's sort of a disconnect sometimes for some people. They'll see me and they'll be like, if you didn't know me, Jordan, and you just see me for the first time, it's like, all right, this guy's saying he's a black belt. Is this bullshito, right? Is he totally legit? Like, who gave you your black belt and whatever? So anyway, I've been talking to the guy here and there whenever I see him. So I got to talk to him yesterday, and I was saying, hey, listen, if you ever want to, we got a few friends. I'll be happy to meet up with you guys and do some training. If you have money, great. If you don't, then, you just pay whatever you can or not. You're a cool guy. You're welcome to come train. So he's like, well, I'm not training right now. I guess the guy had been training for like 5 or 6 years, kind of like or even Jordan early on, where the guy's been training off and on for 5-6 years. But his big reservation was, he's like, Frank, I don't know if I want to focus anymore on jiu-jitsu. I love it, but I always get hurt. I'm always hurt. I'm sick of it. I'd rather learn to play an instrument, which he's learning now. I'd rather put my attention on swimming. I just don't like being hurt all the time. And so I was only expecting to talk to the guy for a couple minutes, but I was so captivated. This is a discussion that I like, that I wound up talking to the guy. We probably talked for 45 minutes, right? Because I'm like,
this is him at work. You're talking to him at work. He's stocking shelves.
He had gotten off duty. I was outside. I had made my purchase. He happened to be outside, just getting off duty, and we stumbled upon this conversation, and so it sparked the conversation of the differences in academies, in gyms, as to injury prevention and how do we do that, and the difference between, say, some gyms that are more Shark Tank oriented, and some gyms that might be more, we might say in the industry, more family oriented or gyms. And so this guy had made up his mind that, okay, this is too dangerous. It's too risky for me to do this. I'm done. But there was a part of him you could see that really enjoyed it, that said, if there's a way. And so I was presenting to him a way of, listen, it all starts with the instructor. And in your case, like Jordan, where you are with 10th Planet, it starts with the owner, right? And Casey's there. He's the instructor. He's also the owner. So everything usually starts. You show me who owns the gym. And in our case, in our industry, it's usually a black belt, right? There's not like random owners. It's usually the person who's a black belt and's been doing it for a long time is the owner. You show me the owner and the top instructor, I'll show you the culture of your whole gym, right? It's usually trickle down. So we got to talking about that. So that's really what, there's a lot more to say about it, but that's something that is top of mind that I wanted to share with you guys and bounce off of you, because we've all had that experience. I don't know if Jordan, I remember when Jordan and I used to train a lot at the garage, and every once in a while Jordan would say, you know, your shoulder, I think, was hurt sometimes, Jordan.
Yeah.
And you know, you've had some little things, but by and large, guy in his 20s who's pretty flexible, and you know, Jordan doesn't get hurt a lot. I was hurt. I started jiu-jitsu when I was 30, and I had a lot of injuries. And of course, back when I was training, we just didn't know any better. We just, you know, it was always, there wasn't flow, there wasn't technique in general. It was just, you know, there wasn't a size thing where you got messed up. Huh?
I said everyday Pojada.
Everyday Pojada, yeah, that's what it was. What's that, Honolulu Bahalas? But anyway, I guess I would bounce it off of you, Jordan. You've got, you know, you're an instructor now, a brown belt, and what do you guys, you and Casey and the other instructors, have in place to reduce the, you know, there's always going to be the risk. I mean, this is a contact combat sport and it works. So there's always going to be that. What do you do? What do you have in place to try to mitigate and reduce the risk of injury?
So yeah, injuries happen because excuse me. Injuries happen because of one of two reasons usually. It's usually because of the person did not want to tap and they had an ego, or they had usually it's the person's fault. Usually it's like the person didn't want to tap, they had an ego and they didn't, and that's the reason they got hurt, or they were going all sporadic and crazy and they were like we say, like they were spazzing, and that's why a lot of the time they ended up hurting themselves. Or the other hand, sometimes it's the person like the person doing the submission that attacked the submission too quickly, and then they hurt the person, and then it's of no fault of the other person. It's the person applying the submission, that they applied the submission too quickly, so they hurt the other person. Or the same thing, or that person may be spazzing and they dropped an elbow or a knee, causing somebody else to get hurt. So usually what I do as an instructor before we roll is I say, hey guys, let's make sure that, number one, we care about ourselves. And when you care about yourself, you're going to make sure that you don't get hurt. Try not to make sure you get injured or hurt, and you're not going to have an ego, so you're going to tap as soon as you get put into a submission. That's caring about yourself. That's the number one thing, is caring about yourself, so you do not get hurt. And then the number two thing is caring about your partner, right? Caring about your partner so that if you apply submission, you're not trying to hurt your partner. You're just trying to go and apply the submission properly with slow and steady, so that you give your partner time to tap so that nobody gets injured. That's usually what I try and preach. So I'm like, hey guys, care about yourselves, care about your partners, make sure nobody gets hurt here. And I keep it present on their minds before they roll. I'm like, hey guys, before we roll, let's make sure we're aware. Do not hurt yourselves. Do not hurt each other. Make sure we're all friends here. This isn't a competition. Let's all keep it friendly, and make sure we're just trying to learn. And then I'll have them roll. So I usually just try and talk about it, address it before they roll, keep it in their mind, and then have them roll.
Noah, your experiences, I guess, with injuries and what you found to help you mitigate that?
Well, let me just say real quick about how the culture is at Hinzo's. There's a lot of instructors flowing through there. Neiman, Igor, and Rafael Costa, Hafa, and some other instructors. The way they typically address it, the only way they address it, is they just say be be aware of your surroundings so you don't hit others. They don't address the spazzing or tapping out early and often question. It's a so that's not addressed formally. I mean, there's a code of conduct on the wall, but at Hinzo's, that's the situation. Now, for me, I know who I roll with, and when I roll with someone new, I or someone that I'm not familiar with, I tell them beforehand, like, look, I'll tell them, my first question always is, are you training with any injuries? And I ask them that question, and I think I've said on this podcast before, I've only gotten a couple of times I've gotten smart aleck remarks, but I always ask my training partner, and then whenever I also see because I'm not going like max effort on anyone ever. Like I don't get my energy level up that high where I'm not trying to go white belt crazy. But when I see those around me are getting a little wild, and there's space, my training partner would typically nod at each other like, okay, yeah, let's move over there, because you do have younger, more aggressive young lions in there scrapping. In fact, the very last training session when I was at Hinzo's, it was I went in. It was an 8 o'clock class, and 7:30 to 9, and it was literally the last roll of the night, the last 5 or 7 minute roll of the night. And this two guys, they'd rolled earlier, and I saw it, and then they went back to each other, and I saw a guy break his arm with them, just going all wild. They were just. It was as though they were going for the gold. So everyone kind of backed off away. Give them their space. The blue basement's pretty huge, but those nights, like the 7:30 to 9 class, is not as busy as the 5:30 class is. 6 to 7:30. So awareness on the mat, who I'm rolling with, and those around me.
Yeah, what I always wonder is what gyms have in place. Like, let's say, because there's a lot of times where you're in the gym and certain people don't want to train with certain other people, right? They consider them a high risk, right? So there's that. Especially if you get into gyms where there's 50, 60 people on the mat, and invariably there are people you're like, oh man, I hope I don't get matched up with so-and-so. Now, different gyms do that different ways. I've seen gyms where in my early days when I was training at Pedro Sowers, it was simply a rotational basis. You just, 15 people lined up on this side of the mat, and then right in front of them, literally on their knees, is another group of 15 people. And when the round was over between you and them, you rotated one person down. Didn't matter size, didn't matter gender, didn't matter belt level. That's one way of doing it. I've seen a lot of academies where they do it where it's just, okay, the round is over and the instructor yells, find a new partner. And you're scrambling to find a new partner. And I've seen a lot of instructors, even Robert Drysdale, where if you don't find that partner within like 30 seconds, everybody's doing push-ups or sprints. Like, there's a penalty for people lollygagging, right? Because some people were like late to find a partner. So I've seen, academies where that's the norm, where you just rotate. You look at someone, you nod at them. Jordan might be done his round. I'm done my round. I look over at him and I'm like, now, a lot of times in that system, in that kind of academy system where you're finding your partners, you've already went in before the first roll. You're looking at who's in the class and you're already thinking, sometimes you'll even call it, hey, Jordan, you and me next round, right? I'll look it over at him before we even start. And I'll say, after this round, you and me. And then you're already lining up your training partners. But then there's the gyms where the instructor is going, at the end of the round, the instructor is going to say, hey, okay, Noah, you're with Jordan. Susan, you're with, Emily, so-and-so. And you're randomly matched up. And that's where, it could come into your head like, oh, man, I don't want to train. You're going to see this in a class, in a classroom setting where people are like, I don't want to train with so-and-so because they're a spaz, because they're not considerate, because we don't like each other, whatever the reason is. And what's interesting about that is, at what point does the student who is paying have a say in, hey, Jordan, coach, I don't want to train with so-and-so. And then Jordan says, well, why? Why? Well, because he never washes his gi, or never washes his rash guard, or he uses too much force. He hurt my knee last time. Whatever, right? He's too heavy, right?
I have questions for you. Yeah.
So let me continue this. So you have these different environments with different sorts of protocols for how you match up. I was very lucky when I got my black belt before June 2010, which is when I got my black belt. I was scared to say anything. One thing that, so black belt does a couple of things to you. And Jordan is not, he's getting close. A couple of years, he's going to have his black belt. I want to be there, Jordan. So don't just get your black belt. Like, tell me, or tell Casey to tell me, like, when you're going to get it. At least if you don't know, let's tell him to tell me, so I know, so I can be there since I've known you. But when you get your black belt, one of the things that happens is, of course, you wake up some days and you're like, there's a couple things. One is, am I really a black belt? I can't believe I'm really a black belt. That took a long time. I can't believe that. That's awesome. I stuck it out. Like, wow, pinch myself. I'm a black belt. Another thing is, man, I'm not as smart as I thought I was. I don't know if I'm even worth a black belt. Some students who are purple belts might be giving you trouble. And you're like, well, am I even a real black belt? I feel like I don't know that much. I feel like the purple belts and the brown belts are giving me trouble. Oh, this really good wrestler who's a blue belt gave me trouble. And so then the black belt plays tricks on your mind there. But the one thing the black belt really did that was awesome is the black belt gave me the courage to stand up, as like a 38, 39, 40-year-old, 41-year-old athlete and say, hey, Rob, and I love Robert Dries. I have a lot of respect for him, but hey, Rob, I don't want to go with, let me pick my partners. I know how my body is. I'm working around injuries. Let me pick them. Now, a lot of places, they're not going to do that. Robert liked me. He knew I was a hardworking athlete. He knew I wasn't loafing. I wasn't trying to cut corners. It's like, hey, bro, I'm dealing with my thumb. I can barely move my thumb. Like, let me pick. And in that case, I'm not saying Robert always does that, but for me, at least, as one of his black belts and a guy who worked hard and a guy who competed, he was like, all right, you can pick your guy. And in the old days, brown belt level, it was like, no, you're going with who I say you're going with. You're going with 230 pounders. I mean, they had me go with a 300 pounder, a big bouncer. But when I was a black belt, I was like, bro. And when I was getting the injuries were racking up, I was like, bro, I need you to trust me. I got to kind of pick my guys in class. Now, having said that, he did that a lot where he would let me do that. But there were a ton of classes, kind of a mix. There were a ton of classes where he was like, Frank, you and John, Frank, you and whoever, Frank, you're in this quartet. And there were athletes that were like, wow, that we're wrestling, we're doing a lot, it's physical. And you kind of want to say, hey, Rob, remember that I'm like kind of allowed to pick. And so there were plenty of times where it was like, no, you're going with who I say you're going to go with. But I felt like I got more say, and I was brave enough to kind of have a conversation with him like when I was black belt. So anyway, now, Noah, you had some questions.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I wanted to ask you, what I call this is your agency, having an agency, and that's a great culture, like gym culture or academy culture thing, where it feels more like, the coach is like, this is not the exact right Latin phrase for it, but in loco parentis, in the place of a parent, or let's just say agency, what your agency is. And it's not been my experience to walk through a door where there's a Gracie name on the door and a Gracie on the mat, where they will determine who you train with. I think
let's reword that so people understand. You're saying that when you go to those particular academies, they usually assign you to your training partner. You're
negative. Negative. So the opposite.
They're just find a training. Round is over. Okay, find a new training partner.
Yes, they don't assign. They give you agency. You have your own agency to choose who you train with, and I think that I understand the that there may be desires to have looks with different training partners and all that, but I do believe that we're grown adults. This is not a children's class, and nobody else is paying for my medical bills. And there are some pigs on the mat, in more ways than one.
Come on, you and Jordan are bouncing out some Forza-isms today, man. Come on. He's got my code with the students, and I love that. I'm like, he doesn't realize, but I'm like, I've had a little impact on my man Jordan. So I'm feeling good about what he's teaching to the students. And then you're telling me that's a Forza-ism. They're not paying for your medical bills. Come on.
That's right. They're not paying for my medical bills.
They're not coming to the ER with you. They're not even going to visit you. If you're overnight ER, they're not coming to visit you. They're not paying the bill.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they'll, you get hurt. They're like, oh yeah, you got hurt. Because they're Gracies. They're like, yeah,
See you in 6 months, Noah. We'll see you in 6 months.
So I wanted to get Jordan's opinion about it, if I may, to know what your thoughts are, because I think
let's specify. I want to ask Jordan this question. I want to ask him directly. So, Jordan, what do you do how frequently does someone not want to train with someone, and what do you do when they express to you or they don't seem like they want to train with someone? Does that ever even come up? Or are people scared to probably say it?
Doesn't come up very often. Yeah, doesn't usually come up very often. It has came up in the past, and usually it's because of some reason. They're like, oh, like that person's too much stronger than me, or I'm tired. I'm gonna sit this one out. That's that I get a lot. I get that a lot. Oh, I'm gonna sit this round out. And I'm like, you're going to sit this round out, and you're going to sit this round out.
We can hear you typing, Noah. Stop typing. I got it.
Oh, no, I have the piece of paper in my hand. I'm thinking. Sorry. I'm just thinking while he's saying that. I need something to touch right now.
We can hear you mangling that paper, choking.
Sorry. I know. This subject actually is like a big deal to me, and I didn't even realize it.
Jordan, I'm sorry we interjected. Continue, buddy. Sorry.
I was wondering what was going on. I started looking at you guys. I was like, is somebody eating food? What's going on?
Yeah, no, sorry.
It sounded like a Snickers. I was like,
it's literally a Target.
Speaking in Snickers.
No, it's a receipt from Target, and I just this actually I'm going into myself thinking about this, how I feel about it. I got a little emotional there. Sorry.
You got a yellow jacket. We got a yellow jacket that just came after me. So if I'm wigging out, do we have a yellow jacket?
You're a little flighty.
We just assassinated these yellow jackets that are just monstrous, and apparently one of them just came in, so they're aggressive. So if you see me doing weird stuff, this is a weird moment because you're messing around with Snickers wrappers or whatever you're messing around with, and then yellow jackets are coming into.
I'm summoning them.
Anyway,
I'm summoning them. Sorry, Jordan. Sorry, Jordan.
Don't be distracted by me if I get up and start killing yellow jackets. Okay.
Yellow jackets? You mean wasps, dude? Wasps?
Well, yeah, I guess they're related. But I just hit him and I think I knocked him down. But now
it's okay, Frank. You don't feel it.
when you knock him down, you wonder where he is, right? So he's like, hey, I knocked him down, and you don't want to like climb into bed later, and then there's a yellow jacket in your bed. So. Keep going, Jordan.
Where were we?
What was I saying, guys?
No,
I remember.
Yeah, how do you handle this?
So yeah,
It doesn't come up much, but when it does, he's too heavy, he's too strong.
Those are not valid reasons.
Most
Give me a real reason.
Most of the time, it's because guys want to sit out, and that's when I really, really don't have any. I don't let guys sit out. I'm like, no, you can't just sit out and not roll, dude. Like, if you're not injured, there's no reason for you not to train. They're like, oh, I'm tired. I'm gonna roll next round. I'm like, no, you're gonna roll this round. Just flow roll. You know, you don't have to roll super hard, but you at least move.
I never understand why guys sit out rounds. Oh, well, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Frank, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm
Jordan,
looking at Yellow Jackets.
I can't hear you.
Man.
Come on, Jordan.
I got this Yellow Jacket. I hit him, and there's only one place. There's only one place the Yellow Jacket could have went, and he just vanished. It's almost like in the law of physics, or whatever, some scientific law, it's almost impossible that he's not.
He's somewhere. Yeah, you're back. Okay, go, Jordan.
Okay.
Frank's over there. Frank's over there doing wiggling.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm saying if they sit out because they're just sitting out because they're tired and they're like, oh, I'm going to take this round off, I don't allow that. I say, no, you got to keep going. Just flow roll. Right? If they say they're sitting the round off or they don't want to roll with this person because the person is too much bigger and stronger than them, I say, no, that's not a good excuse because you need to get used to having like real practical jiu-jitsu and having jiu-jitsu in a real actual self-defense situation. You know, your partner is not going to hurt you. Right? And I look at their partner, like say the guy's like 130 pounds and their only choice, their only partner in that round is like 220 pounds and they're 130 pounds. So there's about a 100-pound difference.
It's like me and Frank.
I'm gonna look at the guy that's 220 pounds and I'm gonna tell him if there's any problems or anything like that, if say this happened, I would look at the guy and be like, hey man, you're not gonna hurt him, right? You're not gonna hurt him in this round, right? And he'll be like, no, dude, I'm not gonna hurt you. And then the other guy will be like, oh, like and then he doesn't have any excuses. I would just look at the guy and be like, hey man, do not hurt him during this round. And then he'll look at me and be like, yeah, I'm not gonna hurt that guy. And then I'll have them roll. The only time I've had occurrence is I have had a student come up to me and they were like, no, I don't want to roll with this person. And I'm like, why? And then they come up to me on the side and they're like, oh, this person has personally injured me before. You know, I have problems with this person. I've had injuries rolling with this person before, and I've seen this person injure other people before. So I don't want to roll with them. In that situation, then I will allow them not to roll with that person. But then I'm going to take initiative to talk to the person who's known for injuring people and be like, hey man, like, what's going on? Like, why is it known that you're hurting people, you know? And then I'm also going to watch him roll that day. That's probably what I would do. If somebody, that's actually exactly what I did. This happened to me a while ago. That's why it's in my head. Somebody came to me and told me like, hey, I don't want to roll with this person. I'm not going to say any names, but they came to me and they said, I don't want to roll with this person because I'm essentially scared of this person. They've injured me before. I've seen them injure other people, and I was completely unaware of it. I thought the person was pretty cool from my perspective because they were just a lot lower than me in jiu-jitsu. So I would just trash them. They were no threat to me. So they weren't going to injure me or do anything to me, you know? But apparently they were like a mat bully, like up to lower belts and stuff. I watched them roll that day and they were just like the people that were smaller than them or they were better than them. They were significantly messing up, you know, like they were just being mean. I watched them roll and I could tell I seen what the person was talking about right away. And so I adjusted to the person, and I was like, hey man, like come over here and talk to me. And I was like, yo, like why are you beating up on these white belts and like people that are smaller than you? Like you're doing things that are bully moves. You're putting way too much pressure in this area when you're way bigger and stronger than the person. You're applying way too much pressure on this like Americana from the mount. Like you're like 200 pounds, dude. This person's 130 pounds. Why are you holding somebody down, Americaning them in the mount and like folding their arm backwards? Like yeah, we get it. Your two arms are bigger than their one arm. Like, so sometimes you just gotta enforce things like that if that is to happen. You know, you gotta make sure the mat etiquette and everybody just everybody's friendly with each other. You know, you gotta make sure nobody's got like a chip on their shoulder and they're trying to hurt other people. You gotta make sure that's avoided at all times.
My personal style when I'm running a class is to be proactive, to assess things on the front end. So even at the beginning of class, like let's say that we're in a class, you know, the more advanced classes you have, right, where you have more higher belts, the more inclined I am to say, just rotate, pick your partners. If it's a smaller class, and especially if there's a lot of beginners, I want more control over that. And I want more control over who rolls with who. And I'm now using my intuition. Some people might be on that mat. They might be a newer belt. Maybe I haven't even seen them roll. And so now I've got to sort of assess body language, their temperament, how they're breathing. I've got to look at things and say, you know, maybe the guy or told me before class he was a wrestler, a D1 wrestler. So now I've got to start mentally calculating, okay, can I trust this person I've never seen, who's pretty new, to roll with some of my lower belts or some of my smaller students or some of my, you know, some of the women and females I have in class. And I like to be proactive and sort of have control over that to where, and sometimes what I'll do in a smaller class setting is rather than just have it be where, hey, just rotate with whomever you want, or even where I'm matching them up. I might have them, if there's a guy in there who's a wild buck, I might have him roll with the same person 2 or 3 rounds. In other words, hey, Jordan, you're with so-and-so again, right? And Jordan might be thinking, I just went with so-and-so, or I already went.
I would hate that. I would hate that. Not because of the, you know, there's not a, I'm just going to speak freely here. To me, I probably wouldn't come back. I wouldn't come back to that gym. I would hesitate to come back. Like my 30 days is up, I'm not coming back. Because I don't think. I mean, let me put some conditions around this so you understand. All right. At Hins, now this is just a different system. Okay, different school system.
You're talking about a guy who's got to my knowledge, over 1,000 students. Right. He's got a roster of black belts, and he's probably one of the biggest names in jiu-jitsu, and he's of the lineage of the royal family of jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's got a good setup there. You can do more of that. But
well, I was just going to say this. Let me give you a piece of information here that'll help you know. There is a room set aside for white belts, and there are 2 classes in the morning, 1 class at lunch, and 3 classes in the evenings. There's 1, 2, 3. There are 6 classes a day for white belts to go to. 6 classes a day, Monday through Friday, with like a machine. Like you walk into Hinz's at any time, and you'll see the 7 a.m. class, the 8 a.m. class.
But let's not take our time with that. Tell me.
No, but let me finish this. Let me finish with this thought.
I know that they do it differently. Tell us specifically the why or the rationale behind the objection.
The other piece of information I want to give you is that any white belts that are in the main blue area, in the main area, they have 3 stripes. They have 3 stripes or more in that system. So so when they come over and they come in, you know what, if you roll with them, you know what you're going to, you expect to see some more athleticism or more physical, see some of the traits of the new guy, and even blue belts, the new guy stuff, even up a couple of purple belts too, like that. But the only point I want to say to that is after, if you're in that main room, I think the mat kind of controls itself because, like if there's like a smaller guy, like let me talk about Roberto. Roberto's like, he comes up to my, I mean, he's small. He's a small guy, okay, and he's a purple belt, and I roll with him, and I early on I was a bit aggressive because he was beating me, and I was like getting frustrated. That was my lesson for me to learn about with him. Um, and I apologize profusely. And Roberto, I apologize for me being rough before. I think
Tell us your objection though, Noah.
Of being appointed.
Your objection might be that you object that the power is being taken from you to decide who you roll with, the agency. That's basically your core objection.
That is my primary objection because here's why.
You've got people in there, when you trust the room and you've got enough high belts in there, and you've got people that you trust, obviously it's easier on the instructor to just be like, find a new partner. If you have a room full of 50, 60, 70 people, the instructor doesn't want to sit there and spend 5 minutes saying you with you. I mean, it's too time heavy. It would be an annoyance. But when you have smaller class settings, or you have a lot of beginners in there, and especially people that maybe aren't known quantities, that are, 2 or 3 people that are new day, I want to watch who that guy gets paired up with. I don't want to look over and he rolled with a 120-pound woman, and now her knee or her ankle is broken. I've got to think about the liability of that. I've got to gauge the temperature in the room. There are plenty of rooms. I mean, Evan Dunham's, by and large, it's pick your partner. Chris Engel in Vegas, pick your partner. Probably pick your partner at 10th Planet. Drysdale is a lot different. Drysdale does a lot. And again, he has different instructors, and he's had instructors like Sonny Nahara who are more find your training partner, pick your training partner. Drysdale himself, when he runs class, a lot of times will put you in groups of 3 or 4, or he'll decide your next round. That's his way. In wrestling mats, your wrestling coach at the high school level, there's a lot of it just sort of works out this way, where a lot of the guys wrestling will be matched up with someone within 2 or 3 weight classes of you, right? So you'll see the 140-pound guys are with somebody up to 160. They could roll at 125, but they're usually within 2 to 3 weight classes of you. Collegiate level, a lot of times they're choosing your training partner. You're this round with whoever, right? They're choosing the groups you work in. You might be able to choose your drilling partner, right? In a wrestling environment, a collegiate wrestling environment, you have the power to choose that. So some rooms there's both, right? You can choose your training partner, but sometimes the coach will choose your group of 3 or 4, or he'll choose your next round in collegiate wrestling. So what I'm saying is, it depends upon the circumstances. I haven't been the head instructor at Drysdale's where there are 400 or 500 students, where you have a lot more advanced students. And when you have that, even when you have beginners, they might not be my thing, because I've got blue and purple belts that can train them on the system. I don't have to go to every wild buck white belt and say anything. Why? Because if I had Jordan and he's a brown belt, or I have a blue belt, my blue belt's going to take care of that for me. So I don't have to micromanage that and worry about that on a control level, because I've already got lieutenants and captains that take care of that, which Renzo Gracie has. So you can give more control when you have a more mature school, or you have advanced belts, because they become the enforcers. They become the teachers. They enforce the code. They make it so that if people are wild, they take them aside. Renzo doesn't have to go in there and do that. So that's what I'm saying to explain that. I'm well aware of the temperature of the room. I can tell before anybody rolls most of the time who's going to be wild and who's not. I can tell that by body language, bro, with a high degree. How spastic is this guy? His spastic ratio. I can look at the guy. I can watch how he breathes and tell most of the time. And
you okay, Jordan?
And listen, and if I see that guy, if I see that high-risk guy coming in, Noah, you think I'm going to just let him train with whoever he wants? I'm not going to. I might not even want his business. I wouldn't want everybody's business. So for me, with the liability, with the risk of somebody going to the Yellow Jackets back, I'm going to control that risk.
Oh yeah, no, I understand. It's a risk management strategy for academy where you have a high ratio of Jordan. Jordan, I think your audio's out again.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, you're good. Okay, yeah, it was just a second. That was a concern. That's great. That's a fair point. Fair point, Frank, about
because let's imagine
risk management strategy.
Let's imagine the other extreme. Let's imagine if I went to a pure agency, meaning it's always agency. It's always pick your own partners. Let's imagine I do that.
Except for white belt.
Do you know how many people are probably going to, you know how many injuries are going to happen that I probably could have prevented, that my instincts with what I'm doing, you know how many I probably could have prevented that are going to happen? I think, see, this is the interesting thing that I bring to it. I bring an encyclopedia of 34 years, right? 34 years in combat sports training, of watching it, participating in it, studying it, competing against the best, okay? And so we got 34 years of my data in my brain. And in my opinion, in my brain, in my data, most injuries, most serious injuries are preventable. Let me repeat that. Most serious injuries in a combat sports setting, I would say the vast majority, meaning 75% or so, not even just 51%. My brain's data says 34 years of experience, what percent of major injuries that I saw where somebody was out for months or 6 months or they quit? The vast majority. Now, do you think that I'm going to give up all of the control as an instructor and all of the anecdotal evidence I have and all of the experience I've accrued and just be like, pick your next partner? That's easy for me, Noah, right? That's easy for me to do that. But then my brain says, wait, Frank, we know that roughly 75% or so injuries in my brain are preventable. If we backtrack and we put them under a microscope, we're like, damn, this was stupid. Okay. Now, given that, right, I have to take some agency, Noah, like when the room is not like at I want it to be, like with Henzo, he's got a good setup there. So yeah, I love the pick your own partner thing. Like you, I love that. Okay. I love the idea of it. But if I had to look over and see my 120-pound blue belt girl who just got smashed by the day one or week one, Marine or Division I wrestler who you're thinking, what the hell are they even doing rolling with each other? Like, what the hell is that? Right? Like, one of us should have broke that up, right? Like, been like, that's a bad idea, right? Let me tell you, this is one stupid injury I got. Okay. Now this was my fault. When I was coaching wrestling, I coached rec wrestling. And one day I was in there training with one of the assistants, and there was a weight bench, you bench press, and there was a weight bench near the edge of the mat, like near the edge of the mat. So like idiots, we're just thinking like, well, we're going to wrestle, but we're not going to go into the weight bench where you bench press weight. So we're wrestling. Anyway, we get into a scramble. My leg swings and it hits the bench, right?
The metal bar.
To make matters worse, there was a nail sticking out, and this nail went right into my shin, and it was squirting blood like a fountain, right? Like the blood squirting like out of a fountain. Now, of course, like a wrestler, I didn't even wash it at that time. I went and taped it up, and we were back wrestling, right? But now you have silliness like that happens where you're thinking, who in the world would put a weight bench here? Why didn't we move it? Why were we idiots? But again, to our point, what Jordan was shaking his head at too is like, that was preventable. I had to get a tetanus shot for whatever. It wasn't that big of a deal. That was totally preventable, right? A lot of stuff is the major stuff. I'm not talking about the nicks and crannies. Stuff's going to happen. Jordan, maybe heel hooks me. Maybe my knee's a little bit tweaked. But like he said, now, as an advanced athlete, I already know if I roll with Jordan, and I've been training with Jordan for years, right? I know Jordan does heel hooks. I know he does, twisters, right? So I know that if he gets me as an advanced student, if he gets me in the twister before he even gets the neck, right? Before Jordan even gets the neck, I'm already thinking like, bro, I already know that Jordan does twisters, and I know when he gets that one hook in and he's going, before he does, like, hey, if he gets that twister and you wait a second or two or three to tap, well, that's a lot on your spine, right? And like Jordan was saying, whose fault would that be? If Jordan twisted me, right? And I said the next day or a month later, bro, my spine still hurts. Like Jordan was saying, whose fault is that? That's my fault.
Fine
Why?
line.
Because, yeah,
I said
What's
it's a
that, Jordan?
fine line.
Yeah, but it's
We're talking about
probably
ethics here, by the way. We're talking about ethics again.
But I would make the argument that it's probably my fault as an advanced student, because I know Jordan does heel hooks. I know he does, whatever. And I know that in those situations, you got to be ready to tap. Like there's certain moves that you don't have the luxury of, well, do I want to tap, hold out? A heel hook, you better tap. If it's in there good, you got a split second, you better tap. Arm bars, the best arm bars out there they're not hand taps, they're verbal taps. You get a guy or a girl who's got phenomenal arm bars. Those are tap, tap, tap. You can't tap quick enough because they're tricky with them. They're very explosive with them. A lot of the people that are the best with them. I'm not talking about a mounted arm bar where you have time, whatever, but arm bars from other different angles where they're maybe, they're from quick scrambles or something. Those arm bars can be very quick. Now, that is an awareness thing, though, where, again, let's just say that somebody doesn't have a lot of experience, Noah, they might not know, they don't have the awareness to tap quick enough, right? Now, the other side of that is you're hoping, like Jordan was alluding to, you're hoping that your advanced student. Now, I think we agree on this, Jordan and Noah. One thing we do agree on is higher belts normally don't hurt lower belts, right? In general, the higher belt is the lowest risk, in the class. Purple belt above, in general, the risks get lower. The odds that I'm going to look up and my purple belt or my brown belt or my black belt just hurt the white belt are slim. And when it does happen, to Jordan's point, it's probably that the white belt was being such a wild buck that the purple belt or something had to use more force and so it's probably that this, but again, as an instructor, I want to be able to look at the room and see this and even anticipate, and just even anticipate, Noah, do I even want this guy or this girl's business? If they have a certain mentality, do I even want their business? That's me. I'm not saying that's the norm. It's not the norm. But I don't want some people's business. That's just me. Because I think that I remember even at Evan Dunham's, they had a guy that they had to ask him to leave because he was, like Jordan was articulating, this guy had just hurt a lot of people, and Evan's a very patient guy. But it had just, it boiled over. Me personally, I probably would have an even quicker leash, because I think that 98% of people in most gyms are not, they're just there. They're kind of like, they're professionals or their money is made somewhere else. This is the thing. Anybody who's ever been injured, and Jordan, God bless you, because you've always been healthy, but anybody who's been injured for had to miss training for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever. You can always still get on the mat. That's fine. You can still get on the mat. I'm not saying because your shoulders, whatever, but getting on and you can get better. You can get better even when you're injured, and you can work other things. But guess what? It still sucks, especially if you love training. So we have to do everything we can, because a lot of people will just quit. They'll be like, bro, they want to train, but they have work. They don't want to be, when you have a major injury and you have a job, guess what you're doing while you're at your job? You're thinking about, is my knee going to be okay? What's the result of the x-ray? How much is that bill going to be? You'll spend weeks being distracted from your work, worrying about, is my shoulder ever going to be okay? What's that thing sticking up on my shoulder? Is that ever going to be okay again? This is how 90% of people think. So I have to be proactive on the front end to take account of who in the heck is in that room. And do I have enough, like what Henzo has, advanced students to take care of it for us because they know how to do this? That's my mental calculation when I'm in a room. And I'm normally I don't have 500 students or 400 students.
Well, 400 students don't show up at 7:30 at night at Henzo's. It's usually the pros trying to sneak away.
I'm talking overall, he's got like over 1,000 students, right?
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, no, the cards out front are amazing. But, it's going to be a while before I get on those mats, I think. And I don't think those mats have opened up yet. All my gis, except for one like little cheapy gi that I got, all my gis are there because you have laundry service for $60 a month. In New York, you don't have the luxury of in your apartments, you don't have the luxury of having a washer dryer. So that $60 a month comes in really handy for them to.
I want to say one more thing. I want to say one more thing for 30 seconds. This is what's fascinating, and I understand where you're coming from with agency and choosing your partners. What's interesting is in the occasions where the instructor picks your training partner, there's two types of instructors, and I can understand why one instructor could increase your risk of injury by putting you with people because he doesn't really care. He's just thinking,
bingo,
you're the same size. So
there you go.
One instructor who's not mindful, who's not looking out for you, who's just like, Noah, you're 230. Go with these guys. They're all 230, and some of them are wild. You've got that instructor, and there's a lot of them that just indiscriminately, hey, Noah, go with whoever. And they don't care. They're not thinking about risk of injury. They're just looking at the size. They're looking at the belts, and they just throw you with them. And so that is scary, right? That's a scary scenario because you've got those instructors who, especially if they came from a school where it was kill or be killed, and they just throw you with whoever, and they don't care. And that's a lot of them. And then you have the other instructor who may be doing that, which is for a mind for, hey, Noah is whatever, 30 some years old. He's this great forensic accountant. He's the great account executive and numbers guy. He doesn't, I don't want to get him hurt. Let me put him with people where he's going to have good roles and he's not going to get hurt, right? Or the risk of that injury is low. And so I can see where you're coming from. The instructor who's more mindful is saying, I'm actually protecting you, Noah. Or this is what Drysdale would do sometimes. Sometimes what they'll do is the instructor, before assigning you, who's trying to protect you, will say, Noah, who did you want to go with? That's one that happens a lot of times, even when instructors are matching up, they'll look at you. And so they're actually working choice in the equation. I'll look at you and say, and now I'm saying, hey, rather than me pick, I defer to you, Noah. Who do you want? That happens a lot too, where the instructor is putting certain people together sometimes because he knows that some won't get hurt, but then he'll look at Noah and say, happens a lot. Noah, who do you want to go with? And then you get that agency that you're talking about, which is probably how I would handle you as a blue belt, and that's what I was. Noah, who do you want to go with? Trusting your judgment better than mine.
Yeah, I just think like, in the locker room, you hear guys setting up, who they want to roll. Yeah, let's roll together. Third, whenever like there's celebrities there, like Bourdain, guys are, getting their spots with each other. If there's a celebrity or someone visiting from out of town, and a lot of that stuff's happened. There's a lot of fashion models that come in. But they'll go to white belt class. You never see them. They'll never get past. A lot of when you're
Jordan's age. The beauty of being Jordan's age is you don't care about Jordan's going to roll with anybody. Jordan doesn't. I've never.
Yeah, he heals.
Yeah,
he heals like he's. We could break his arm on Friday. On Monday, he's like, yeah, it's healed. I can actually use it again.
And when I was 20 something, I was the same way. Jordan just takes names and collects, whatever. He just collects feathers. He's down to roll with anybody. And when I was in my teens and my 20s, I was the same way. He doesn't care, and he knows how to not get hurt. And Jordan also knows how to not hurt people. And he's a very good training partner. Huh?
Speaking of, guys, I got to get going in a couple minutes. But on that same topic of me rolling with a lot of people, I figured it was a good idea to bring up. I'm competing. I'm doing a big tournament, biggest tournament of my career.
Really?
September 19th in a couple days.
Whoa! What is it?
It's called the Sin City Submission Series. It's a 16-man bracket with a $200 buy-in to win $2,000.
And is it all weight? Is it all weight classes, or have they broke it up into different weight classes?
There's 2 weight classes. There's a 155 division and a 175 division. I'm doing the 155 division. There's a bunch of good guys doing it. It's not any belt division, so it's just anybody who pays to enter can enter. So it's all. There's a bunch of good black belts doing it. Have you heard Leo Domingos is doing it from Drysdale's, Hoffa Domingo's brother. Keith Krikorian's doing it. This guy from your gym, Noah, named Robert Deagle. He's a brown belt. One of you guys' best brown belts is doing it. A bunch of other guys.
Very cool.
Bunch of black belts, bunch of really good brown belts. So.
Is it going to be televised, Jordan, or somewhere on the internet for people to watch?
Yeah, it'll be streamed.
Streamed, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
On Flow Grappling, or
not on grappling? No, I'm not sure where it's going to be streamed at. You could check their Instagram to figure that out.
All right.
Sin City Mission Series.
All right, well, definitely looking forward to seeing this happen.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it, dude. I'm gonna win for sure. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good. Feeling really confident, strong. My game's been feeling real technical when I've been rolling, man. So
nice.
I'm gonna win this tournament, man. I know for a fact. It's gonna change my life.
Very cool. That's next. That's a week from this coming Saturday. What time? What time? Do you know? What time start?
No
Location?
idea, brother. I don't know if I gotta be 155 the day before or the day of. I don't know what time it is. I don't know where it's at. I know it's somewhere in Las Vegas. All I know is I'm gonna win, and that I've already paid my dues, and that I can be 155 pounds when I need to be, and that's all that matters.
What are you weighing these days, Jordan? Normally you were right around it. Do you have a little bit of weight to lose now?
I'm kind of heavy right now, Frank. I've been bulking up, my man. I've been doing calisthenics. I've been eating a bunch. I've been lifting right. I'm walking around at like 165, so I got to cut a little bit.
Okay.
Eating ice cream.
This is COVID, Jordan.
Cream, right? Exactly.
This is COVID 2.0, Jordan.
Yeah, we did the deep dive today on the ethics of choosing your training partner and injury prevention. That was quite deep, guys. We went there. We fleshed out the topic. Yeah.
What's our time?
Appreciate you guys as always.
I'm sorry. What did you say, Jordan?
I said I appreciate you guys as always. I'm gonna have to get going here in a couple, like in the next minute or two, but it's always good to see you guys. I think
absolutely.
I have been talking to you guys. I wish I had more time to talk, and I'm super backed up, dude. And with that tournament putting me back $200, I need that's what I'm actually gonna go do. I'm about to go DoorDash right now and try and make some money, try and make the tournament funds back that I just spent. Try and get some more money back in my bank account.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll catch you next time, Jordan. Awesome. Frank, do you want to jump into it? Frank, we got about 10 minutes left.
Okay. Yeah. So,
have a good day, guys.
Take care.
See you, Jordan. Yeah. So just staying on this injury prevention thing. I mean, it's just like a lot of things in life, Noah. When you gain an expertise at something, right? Experience is, I think, this would be my definition of expertise, right? We say someone's an expert. You are an expert on certain things with the numbers and the accounting, and you're adding to your expertise. Eventually, when you get your jiu-jitsu black belt, you're going to have a lot of expertise at that. You're working with some data stuff, and going back to get your master's with that. So you're always gaining that. But when I think of expertise, I think it's experience, but it's also intuition. And when we say intuition, this is my definition. It could be, people could disagree with it. But intuition to me is a combination of a lot of things. One, it's your own instincts, but it's also your experience. Your experience speaks to you. It's almost like the experience, this inner data that you've accumulated over 10, 20, 30 years is also saying, in addition to your own instinct, it's saying, listen, because intuition by itself will probably make a bad decision, but intuition plus experience plus sort of mentally calculating and crunching says, like, you know what, when I look at like some of the injuries I've gotten, I think sometimes, why did I, like Jordan was saying, why didn't I tap sooner? Why did I even roll with that guy? I hate rolling with him. I've seen him be so rough with whoever. Why do I drill with so-and-so, right? There are people that I chose to drill with that are hard drillers, that just treat your limbs, you're being a good partner and you're being a dummy, and they're not respectful. They do their arm bars, they drill those hard. They do the wrist locks hard. They do the takedowns hard. And you're thinking, why did I choose to be matched up with this person for the drilling? So that's where our own intuition, our own knowing, because there's points that we're like, there's a lot of people that roll with somebody before they got hurt and they're like, why did I get matched up with someone? I've had times, remember I told you, after I got my jiu-jitsu black belt, within 2 or 3 weeks, I got my MCL torn, the medial collateral ligament. It was the third time I tore it, and it was man, that yellow jacket's still trying to get me. So when it happened in my knee, it went, my knee was like, out to here. Damn, I hate these yellow jackets. So they've already got me twice. They've already stuck me twice. So I got that medial collateral, and it was a guy who came in from Texas. Okay, so I had never trained with this guy, about my size, wasn't anything special. Tough guy, MMA fighter, wasn't anything special. I've trained with tons of guys better. And I looked at it and I said, what did my role in it, right? I could say, well, he did like a suicide, like a suicide dive. What do they call it? A scissor sweep. Okay, he dove at the knees, which I didn't expect. Kind of almost like a chop block in the NFL, which are illegal. And so they're illegal in the NFL, at least. So he did this chop block and took my knee out. Now, so now my knee was literally dangling. When you tear that MCL at like a grade 3, right? Like really bad, your knee, you're looking at your knee dangles. It's not like a click or like, just the swelling. Your knee is almost like it's dangling, right? So it's like, damn. So that's, at my age, that was a 2-month heal, but that medial collateral, the third time I tore it took 2 months about before I was able to train again, like the way I wanted to train. And it took another 10 months on top of that. So almost a year until I could do everything on that knee again, like certain wrestling shots. And, I had to favor that knee, even though it healed enough for me to train at a high level after 2 months. For me to have full mental confidence in it and it to totally heal on the scar tissue, it took about 11, 12 months. So that's a long time. And then I thought, well, what was my role in that? The guy did kind of a cheap scissor block. I wasn't familiar with him. My role was this. I trusted the guy too much, right? I trusted him too much, meaning I should have just been like, I don't know this guy, and I'm just going to blitz him. I'm just going to dominate him. I don't know him. And I'm not even going to give him a chance to breathe. But I was kind of like, even flowy and just, he's my size. He's nothing special. I underestimated him, actually. And I didn't try to be vigilant or try to dominate. And if I had dominated and, say, been on his head hunting, good front headlocks, take his back, he'd have never even been in that position. I wouldn't have given him, I was in more of a little bit more of a playful or an underestimation mode. I was trying to be the nice guy. You're at our gym. I'm going to be really nice to you.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was, but
if
I had to do over again, I would still have trained with him, but I would have went out to dominate him. I wouldn't have given him an inch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have given him an inch.
I've had some injuries from. I'm sorry. I was going to say I agree with you. Just going out on that limb with guys that you don't know that well, and you just want to be nice, you get injured.
Yeah.
There's only a couple of people where I will train like that with now, and where I would trust them. Like I would trust Jordan. If Jordan tried to do any of the those funky submissions that 10th Planet has, I would have a preset agreement with them, like, hey, if you're going to do anything funky that I've never seen before, or you don't think I'm going to recognize, and I need to tap early, start it, but if you can pause it so that I know, and then because I want to experience, what that submission is, but don't do it so that I get hurt. Let me know so I can tap at the right time.
Noah, do you know? And you would appreciate this as a data guy.
I got to go in 5 minutes. I got to go in 5 minutes.
Really quick, you're going to be a data guy. This would be you're going to love what I'm about to say. Okay, as a data guy. Mm-hmm. You know what would be fascinating would be if they had a scorecard for mat bullies and who hurts the most partners. If they kept a scorecard, like can we keep credit scores?
Your reputation. That's called your reputation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's your reputation. A rep score.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Right.
Reputation.
Yeah. Your BJJ training etiquette. How many training partners have you hurt?
Yeah.
That would be fascinating.
Yeah. On the blockchain, of course, right?
On the blockchain. Yeah. Anyway, on that note, we've covered a lot of ground today. It's a 3-day weekend, so get on to to bigger and better things. And I'm actually gonna go and cycle here. And
cool.
So yeah, good topic, and we will. I guess we have one episode to make up, so we'll figure out.
2, I think. I think 2. Because we're behind 1. It's just so we can get what number of the week it is. Like if this is the 37th week of the year, try to have 37 podcasts. We're moving along. September already. We're in September.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, October, November. We're heading down to the last quarter of the year already. We have been doing podcasts for 9 months now. At the end of this month.
Yeah, your industry is getting ready to pick up here too, right? October.
Yeah. Audit and taxation taking off. I've been, that's part of why I got to stay on schedule. The last 2 weeks I jammed in, the CPA, you have to have 40 hours per year of continuing education. And because I was working a lot of auditing last year, I needed to make up 40 there. And then I wanted to pay it forward. And my renewal cycle ends end of May 2021. So I wanted to knock out 80 hours. And no, I've been busy. I knocked out my 80 hours almost for my continuing education. And now it's time to work on a new business line.
The beard, yeah, we got some things coming. We got some pretty good offerings coming for the Everyman BJJ fan. The beard speaketh volumes. It speaketh volumes as to you and you know what this is called. This is called in manifesting circles the law of the harvest, right? There's the law of attraction, there's the law of vibration, there's laws of karma, right? Getting back what you hold on. I got this yellow jacket. I'm gonna get him.
You got him? All right. Are you about to? Smack. I heard a smack. I heard another smack.
Hold on.
There's death raining down on.
I'm gonna totally. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna get him.
Okay.
Oh man. Yes. Got it.
Okay. Oh man.
I tell you, man, I've been sparing a lot of insects, but I don't spare yellow jackets. I have no mercy on them. They've gotten me twice. They've got a hive out here. They're a public nuisance. I never knew how annoying. Anyway, we got him. Listen, but what I was gonna say is, yeah, you're what was I saying, Noah?
Well, we were talking about just being busy, law of harvest and law of attraction.
Law of harvest. So meaning, yeah, you're planting a lot of seeds, and you're going to reap that harvest here in the next, 2, 3, 6 months, 1 year, all of us, because I know that you're working. I know how hard you're working, and I know you got a really good heart. You're always helping me, and we've got each other's back. And I know that you're going to do some really great stuff here the next 6 months to a year. And I'm the same way. I've been planting a lot of seeds right now and being patient, but I expect to start reaping a harvest here. Which is what makes 2020 a really weird year, because it's so challenging. The world's been flipped on its head, but it's got so much opportunity still too. It does. There's so much opportunity to grow and advance, and we're going to do it, man. So we're working on some cool stuff. I want to talk with you in future episodes. I told you, yes, we're a jiu-jitsu for life podcast, and we talk about jiu-jitsu, how it helps, jiu-jitsu on the mat and different ethical things and etiquette and protocols, and then the application of jiu-jitsu off the mats. But we have to definitely introduce people to more of your genius, more of your expertise with the numbers and the financing, because that's your, you've made a lot of money before, you've managed a lot of money, and it's just, we're here to grow people. We're here to grow people as martial artists, like warrior poets. And so I want to pick your brain. I think a lot of people out there, a lot of martial arts practitioners could learn a lot by seeing life through your eyes. Like, hey, how can I be better with my money? How can I budget better? How can I do better with my taxes and my expenses, and getting money back at the end of the year and documenting my expenses and all these things that that are important to manage our damn life, right? Like, it's important to know how to do this stuff. So
yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about retirement later on, and retirement planning, and how that fits into being a lifelong jiu-jitsu practitioner. Definitely. But I got to go because I do have a schedule to keep. I got some stuff to do. But nice talking to you today. You and Jordan, episode 37?
No,
35.
I thought it was 35.
35. Yes, that's right. It's 35.
Yeah.
35. Yep.
All right. See you.
Signing out.
No, bye, bud.
All right. Take care. Bye.